Hi, everybody. My name is Patrick Yagi. I'm a teacher in Tucson, Arizona. I wanted to share with you some tips and tricks for teaching online, and today teaching the model sentences online. And I'm starting with this one because I feel like in my own teaching, this is something that I was really nervous about reproducing online. I feel like I do this okay, pretty well in class, I guess, but I wasn't sure that I would do this as effectively online. And so I wanted to show you a couple of things I've learned. And basically, you can approach this three ways of kind of increasing reliability and technology. So I'll start with the really bare bones way, which is this. I'm sharing my screen. We are live. We're talking, although I know you're watching this as recording, but pretend that my students are here and I'm talking to them live, and I've got a chat function. We use Microsoft Teams, and so we have a chat function. They can virtually raise their hand, they can unmute themselves, that kind of thing. But I can share my screen with them, and so I would open up. And you can use Elevate. Now, to be honest, I'm using a PDF version of the stage because I feel like it's just super easy for me to manipulate the pages, and it's one less internet reliability thing that I have to worry about when I'm teaching. So this is a PDF. The other nice thing about the PDF is that it gives me this draw tool. And now there's plenty of draw tools in any number of programs, including you can do them to websites and things. But this draw tool is really simple. So I've activated it by pushing this button and pushing this kind of thicker marker. And I'm just going to teach like I would in class, which is that I would read these sentences out. I would read them demonstrably. I would try to impart meaning with my actions and my intonation and my gestures. And I would ask my kids a lot of questions. I would cold call constantly throughout the whole thing, trying to go back and forth and popcorn around the room. And so what I would do with this first one, for instance, I say, okay, everybody check it out. Look at this picture here. Miles Legiones Secundae, right? Where's the Miles, John? Where's the Miles? Yeah, he's right here. And Miles Legiones Secundae. Okay, so let's maybe put a 2 here or something. Now, Miles Legiones Secundae, per castra ambulabat subito. And I was gesture subito kind of wildly, like suddenly. Okay, UNM ignotum. And maybe I can draw a question mark here for ignotum, right? Unum ignotum prope horam latentem conspexit. Now, language-wise, there's a lot to unpack there. There's the fact that this is a horam, that he's prope horam, and I have a little trouble kind of indicating that on here. So, and then he's latentem, which first of all, it's a verb that I find that my students forget a lot. And second of all, it's a present active participle, which is a form that for several stages now, I've been really trying to make sure that they really get. The conspexit part's easy. I can say I can do let's see, this guy's in the way here, but I can do conspexit, right? Dun, 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 like that. By the way, if this gets too messy, I can just click it and delete it. So, conspexit. All right. So he's looking at him. And I might ask the students to clarify, right? I can popcorn around and say, hey, John, unmute yourself. Prope horam. Do you remember, what does that mean? Is he under? Is he over? Is he far from the barn? Is he near the barn? I can give him some choices if need be. And then for latentem, I would just ask the students hey, what form of the verb is that? Do we remember that? And how do we translate it then? And then what is it named? That kind of thing. Does anybody remember latea, latera? And maybe, one trick I've learned is that you can just do on the count of 3 in the chat. Okay, everybody fingers on keyboards. And in the chat on the count of 3, write the kind of participle it is. And 1, 2, 3, go. Now that's a little chorus, so you're not assessing every individual student, but keeping the pace up. That's a good way to get them involved and get them answering a question. Eos tu clamavit miles. So maybe, I draw a little bubble, right? Eos tu clamavit miles quis est, right? And then Uinus nihil responded, and miles unum iterum rogavit And maybe I can do, just to illustrate the iterum, rogavit quis esset. And then the euenus fugit. And I put him, even drew the arrow like out of the picture. So notice, I'm using my cursor and I'm using the draw tool to really illustrate these things. And all the while, I am asking my students if they get it, if they understand. And I'm asking them to respond to things in the chat. I'm asking them to unmute themselves. I'm asking them to raise their hands, etc. So that's the really kind of low-tech way of doing that online. The higher tech way, and to be honest, this isn't just a model sentence thing. This is a standard part of my classroom now, which is that my district wants me to do everything synchronously, that the kids follow their class schedule, that they're with you for 50 minutes a day. Well, that's a lot for me and it's a lot for the kids. Now this part, this blending of synchronous and asynchronous, has been super helpful. I record lessons, and that way when I'm live in the class with the kids, all I do is hit play. And the kids watch the lesson, but then I can either sit back or I can come forward and I can pause and I can clarify. I can get in the chat. I can ask questions. Maybe a kid has a tech issue that I can help him solve. All of those different things, because the main driving force of the lesson is taped. And so here's just an example.
Right, Diva, members who at Diva, and we have the military encampment here, and we got a Miles, and he is a Miles Legionis Secundii, and he's ambulabat per castra.
So you see, it's exactly the same thing that we just did, but I've got it taped, and I can stop, I can let it play, I can check kids' understanding, I can sort of play the part of my own teaching assistant, which is really nice. So I have found that blending of synchronous and asynchronous to be a lifesaver for me. And the kids, there's something to be said for, and the kids have told me this, that they're still learning, but they don't feel like they're on call. They don't feel like they're just sort of right there and having to be in the moment, that they can sit there and watch this for a second. So that's the second way. Now the third way is the ultimate in technology, which is any one of these internet kind of gizmos and game sites and things. And this one is Edpuzzle, and I love Edpuzzle. I'm new to Edpuzzle, but I learned how to use this thing in like 10 minutes. It's super easy. And I uploaded that exact same video. And instead of cold calling, instead of kind of hoping that they got it or whatever, I had all the kids create an account. I created a class. I uploaded the video. In Edpuzzle, you insert questions into the video, and it pauses, and they have to answer the question. And then you get their question answers, and you grade their question answers. So here's just an example, same video that I just showed you.
And prope hoream.
So notice the question here is, what does prope hoream mean? And I wrote that question in because I was feeling a little insecure about how effective my drawing was. So I wanted to see if they got that. And you can see I've gone ahead and answered this question myself as I was replaying this, prepping for this video. So I'm going to continue here. I wrote the answer. I pressed submit. I got it right. I'm going to continue.
Latentem conspexit. Now, latentem is not a verb that probably we remember really well. It means hiding. And I wonder if you could remember what form of the verb that nt with the noun ending gives it, or really maybe the adjective ending, we should say.
So here it is. What does adding ends or entem, etc., what does that do to a verb? Like turning the verb hide here into hiding. And you can see I just quickly tapped a couple keys to get through the question here earlier. But I'm making my kids answer. And notice it's a free response question. So I'm going to have to grade this one, whereas you got some multiple choice questions as well, too, that'll auto grade. So I'm inserting questions, but they're good questions. They're the right questions. And so the kids can do this either live in class. I try to not give them any homework, so I try to give them class time to do these things. Or maybe it's a little bit of a flipped classroom thing where I say, okay, last 10 minutes of class, watch this, and then we will check back tomorrow and see how you learn. So a couple different ways you can approach teaching the model sentences, which I anticipated being a tough part of this transition from in-person learning to online. And I hope it helped. Bye.